Okay. So I wanted to talk to you guys about why you guys having so much difficulties breaking generational curses if this is what is a part of your destiny and this is what was supposed to happen. And this is a part of your plan here on earth, then why is it such a difficult why is it so difficult for you? These are for these divine feminines who want to know why, if they're so chosen, if they're the ones, if they're so important to source, why is this stuff going? Why is this stuff happening to them? Okay, they seem like it doesn't make sense. It's almost like it's it doesn't balance out. Like some of the divine feminines aren't understanding it, why they have to go through all these trials and tribulations. Okay, so let's talk about if you're breaking generational curses, right? You're breaking something. Okay? That means you're doing something completely different, completely opposite of what your family has done in their belief system, in their traditional, because you're breaking it. Do you get what I'm saying? So you're not doing the same thing as what they did. You're doing something opposite of what they did, which will break the chains. Okay? So that means if your ancestors were religious and in a cult, right? And you're probably the black sheep of the family, right? And you're more in tune with your spirituality, maybe, or you're more in tune with looking more into just connecting to God, connecting to source, okay? Connecting to the universe. However, you want to call, God, I say source because that gives me, again, if only you knew. But, sorry, where was I, you guys? Because I'm always moving through time and space all the time, okay? So it seems like I'm not in, I don't live in the matrix. I can maneuver whenever I feel like I want to, or whenever I want to. And when I go into my thoughts, guess what? I'm not in the matrix. So if I'm thinking in my thoughts and I'm going within, where am I going? Not to the matrix, not on nobody's time schedule, right? Do you get what I'm saying? So when I jump back, I'm like, okay, so where were we? I was just in my thoughts. Where were we? I was just in my universe. Where are we now? I was just going within. Where were we right now? Don't play with me. So, breaking chains. Okay, so you're doing something completely different because you are no longer chained to that religion, chained to that cult, chained to that way of thinking, chained to that way of behaving. Change is what happens to break that bondage. Okay? This can also be slavery as far as work goes. Slave to work, slave to different systems. Because your ancestors were that, and the ancestors before that, and the ancestors before that. So maybe you're the first person in your family to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're the first person to have a platform. Maybe you're the first person to want to seek something greater than just do the norm 9 to 5. Maybe you wanted something more for yourself, or you saw a different vision for your own life, right? So that breaks the curses, which breaks the bondage, because a curse binds you. I don't care what kind of curse it is, there is binding involved with any curse, period. So when it's locked and it's chained and you're trying to break something that's binded, that's locked together like chains, it takes a lot to break it. You can't just go up to it and karate chop it. You karate chop some damn chains. Because that would be easy. It'd be easy to just karate chop the chains, right? And they all separate. then you broke the generational curse. If that was so easy, everybody would have done it. All your ancestors would have been did it. They would have been did that. If that's how they got out of slavery, they would be like, okay, all I gotta do is karate chop something. What y'all? All right, we free now. See, it took more than a karate chop. It took more than a chainsaw. It took more than some scissors. It took more than some hammers. It took a whole lot of force, power, determination, time, energy, more than what anybody in your family could ever had endured, because if they could have did it, they would have. But they didn't. So you had to be the one with the willpower. You had to be the one brave enough. You had to go against all odds, go against everything that was ever taught to you, everything you ever believed in, to seek the truth within, to figure out how you was going to break these generational curses. See, they just thought that you was bullshitting. See, some family, though, they know. They knew that they opportunity to break generational curses. They chose to go to the same behavior, same route, same comfortability. Whatever made them comfortable is what they decided to do, and that's how they lived their life. And of course, obstacles came with that. So yes, they were knocked a little bit off their soul mission, their soul journey, and maybe some people don't even know what it is, or maybe they sold themselves before even finding out what it is. There's so many different scenarios for so many different people. However, they know who you are, and they feel like it should have been them to break the generational curse. Even though they had the opportunity, they had the time frame, they had the thing that they needed. But you know what they didn't have? They didn't have a need and an inner desire to connect to source. And not for money, not for praise, not for finances, not for riches, not for gold, not for approval, not for what, because that's what's in, right? Because if everybody's doing what's in, they're not breaking generational curses. It's the same shit as every trend comes in and everybody does the same thing and everybody does the same thing then. To break generational curse, you must do something different from what the generations before you have done. So what have the generations before you have done? And how can you do it differently, or how can you do it to where a way that is successful for the next generation? Because that's what it's about, the next generation. And see, they're simple-minded asses. They don't understand that because they didn't focus on the next generation when they had their opportunity. Do you get what I'm saying? See, they had their opportunity to focus on the next generation. They did not. They was doing whatever made them comfortable, whatever made them feel good, whatever made they desire. So they did not focus on the next generation. They pretended they could pretend all they want. I gave them food, clothes, and shelter. Child. I don't care how old you are. If you're saying that as a parent you gave them food, water, and shelter, and that was your only responsibility as a parent, then I'm talking to you, child. That is not your only responsibility as a parent. There is so much more to raising a child besides that. Ask any psychiatrist, any therapist, ask them, because there's so much more to a being than just what they eat and what clothes they wear and what school they go to, right? And what house they in and what their mama car in. It's so much more that goes within innerly that happens. That takes time to develop and to mold and to form. Now, but the divine feminines in this generation understands that. That's why they're doing things differently. But the old heads is hating. They mad. They mad at the progress. They mad because they couldn't do they couldn't break the generational curses because of their mindset. And somebody don't want me to speak about them not breaking generational cycles. Somebody's hiding the fact that they have the opportunity to break generational curses and they chose not to. So they're not speaking on that. They want me to hush it up. That's why I start stuttering. They don't want to talk about what they've done. They probably shine a lot of light on you, divine feminines. They probably shine a lot of light on your life, on what you were doing in your life, made you the spotlight. They're all spotlight. Everybody look at this person who's doing their own thing, minding their own damn business. Right, Divine Feminine? Because if you the black sheep, I mean the black sheep somewhere minding their business somewhere. Because all other sheeps are white. They chilling and hanging out the black sheep somewhere minding their business. So y'all had to come over there to the black sheep. The black sheep didn't go over there to y'all. Y'all went over there to the black sheep. For what? To go terrorize her because she's breaking the no. They want to delay. Right? Because if they couldn't do it at their age, they don't want you to be able to accomplish it, Divine Feminines. Because they said it should have been them. They should have been the ones to break the generational cycles. They should have been the one because they demand power and respect. So because they demand power and respect, they should have been the one. Let me tell you something. Do you think power and respect is what's going to change humanity? It has something to do with it. Respect does, and respecting each other. But do you guys think that's the basis of humanity is power and respect? And if you have your shoulders up like this because you feel powerful, because who do you feel powerful up against? Because you don't feel powerful against the matrix. You don't feel powerful against corporations. You don't feel powerful against big businesses. So what? You feel powerful against what? Who's beneath you? There's not many people beneath a generation except for the generation beneath them. So what do? They use that power, that authority for the generation beneath them. Right? And they're putting obstacles in the generation beneath them just so they can say, I told you so. That's just the way it is. Because they had to endure a lot. They want everybody else to endure a lot after them. They feel like they should endure the pain, heartache, all the stuff that their ancestors had to deal with, the ancestors before them. They feel like everybody in the bloodline should feel it, and that is why they did not break the generational curse. That's why they didn't. Because if that's your mindset, do you really think that you have that you are trying to break the generational curse and have the endurance and willpower to do it for the right thing? Because we're not doing it for ourselves. See, even if we change humanity, it's not, we will, yes, we're here, we're parts of it, but it's not for us. It's for the generation after us. Even though we may not be old, we may still be pretty healthy and pretty good. But changing humanity is always for the generation after, for the collective of people. It's never for self. If you're thinking a way of selfish, remember what I told you the universe said. I said, why, universe? Why is things happening like this? I don't understand it. This don't make sense. They said power, greed, selfishness is why all this stuff is happening in the world. That's why. You can't see instantly. That's why it's happening. And as parents and as guardians, most people have that demeanor and that authority in their mindset. So how can you break generational curse if you're thinking about having authority because you have a slave master mentality, because that's how your ancestors dealt with it. You see what I'm saying? You see how this shit go back? Yeah. See, your ancestors was treated like that. Authority, power, dominated. Your ancestors was dominated. Then here you go, thinking, well, I'm not going to be dominated, so I'm going to dominate the next person, but there's nobody else to dominate, so you dominate your children, even though your children are the ones who's going to break you out of this bondage, out of slavery. They wanted to be them. They wanted to be the golden person. You ever got that person in the family that they got to be the one who's the almighty savior, the one everybody goes to, the one everybody looks for answers. Come to me, come to me, come to me, magic spells was going on. Chanting, candles, working. They did that. Confirmation, they did that. family did that so you can come to them because you were the black sheep, remember? You stayed away, remember? You were supposedly shunned for just being who you were, even though who you were was just somebody who liked to stay by themselves and just be to your lonesome, just be cool, chill. Like, you just chill. No, they wanted to create this narrative for you. Have everybody gang so I can go against you. So you okay, you said, fine, I'll be the black sheep. I'll go about my business because I was cool. With people, without people, I'm fine. I still am who I am. I still be in solitude and peace and go within. So as you was going within, they did spells so you can go towards them because they're too narcissistic to come towards you and apologize. Y'all know how narcissists do. They pretend, your family members pretend nothing happened after some time, and then they try to say hi. They try to say hi to you after some time, try to speak to you after time, after they know they didn't do something wrong. But they're too narcissistic to say anything. So what do? They do spells so you can come to them. Because you know any other way, you wouldn't come and deal with their shenanigans. Because you already made up in your mind and your heart and your spirit that they are not people that you would even want to surround yourself with. You were okay with being the black sheep because really it showed you who they were. How they flocked together. All the birds, all the witchcraft, all the magic that flocked together. Yes, they flocked together. They thought that if they didn't mention each other's name, that you would never know that they're connected. Y'all is energetically connected. So you knew you had a sense and a feeling. Okay, but when we talk about breaking generational curses, the people mainly stopping you from breaking the generational curses, the matrix has something to do with it. But the main people stopping you is your own family. Your own family are the ones who are like, why couldn't it? Y'all, if I tell y'all something, y'all won't believe it. I had my son, right? And there was a come to me spell by my mother, right? And that's why she wanted to go upstairs. She had it all set up in her room. And so she had to come to me, so she did me and my sister. And so I was there. And so she seen the baby, and we talked about the baby spiritually, my grandmother and all this stuff and this and that. And she said, literally, I'm sitting on the couch. She's standing up right there. Goes to the bathroom so I don't see her, have a mini breakdown, and comes back and wipes her tears. That's what you have to say? Why couldn't it be you? And you cry? Like full-blown tear. Why couldn't it be me? I said, what in the fuck? For one, there's many reasons why it couldn't be you, you simple-minded bitch. Many reasons why it couldn't be you. See, why? I don't know why everybody on the front. Many reasons why it could not be certain people in your family is why they did not get that ticket, why they was not the ones. Do you know why they were not the ones? I'll tell you why. I don't know if y'all watched this video all the way through this to the end, because I'll tell you why they were not chosen. They were not the ones to break generational curses, because for one, their mindset. I don't care how much willpower you got. If you have a selfish-ass mindset of greed, selfishness for the materialistic things, how you going to help humanity? How you going to help the rest of your family? You going to hold that money in your bank account and show it off and say you got a certain amount of money in your bank account. And if I die, I might give you something. Is your smart ass remarks. How is that creating generational wealth? How is that helping the collective? How is that helping humanity? That's not. Especially if you have it in the bank, which you ain't helping nobody if you have it in the bank, because I told you they just like Agent Smith. They rather work, they rather hold the money and let it travel through the bank systems instead of having it travel to create generational wealth. But okay. You know, I don't tell people what to do with their money. Now, that's one reason why. The second reason why they were not chosen to be this, because I knew it instantly why, especially when the Another reason why it wasn't you. Because I know she trolls. Because they can't help. See, they try everything in their power so I wouldn't want to get on a platform. But they don't understand. It's not that I want to. I want to be left the fuck alone and just be in a farm. That's what I want with modern technology. So I can listen to the radio and listen to, and continue to do my things. However, another reason why they couldn't is because, y'all, she did have a spiritual child. Me. Do you know what she did when I drew pictures? That's demonic. Why are you drawing that? Y'all, I drew a girl who was screaming and swords was coming out her mouth. My mother said it was demonic. Y'all, swords, words cut. So if somebody screamed at somebody and this sword's coming out, that means she was yelling and saying hurtful things. So I just put an image of it and drew it as a symbol. She told me that's demonic. I need to stop drawing. Then she said if I want to, she said, Picasso, what you want to draw? You're going to make that as a career? You waste your time. Because Picasso didn't get rich until he was dead. Do you want to make money when you're dead? I said, well, it is kind of a waste. I spend a lot of time drawing. I just sit in the garage. I just draw all day. It's just, you're right. It's kind of like a waste. You did have a spiritual child. I've been told about dreams. People would be pregnant and I would go and I would say, she having a baby. And the lady was like, I am not pregnant. No, I'm not. Girl, she does not know what she's talking about. She called my mother maybe like a week later and said, how did your daughter know? Y'all, I could tell you when life was coming into this world. Before the own mother knew. That's how intuitive I was as a kid. I used to talk to the universe. I seen a lot of stuff and I would go to my mother. I had nightmares and dreams because I seen different stuff at night. Y'all, you had a spiritual kid. You know what you did? You discouraged them. You put them down. You belittled them. You wanted to use your power and authority to make them feel less than you. Because it makes you feel good about yourself. You manipulated them through magic, through come-to-me spells, through domination spells, through sex magic so you can feel beautiful about yourself and you can hang around celebrities and people who have lots of money. You portray yourself to be a certain type of way and then you talk down and you create a narrative for everybody else. So that way, instead of talking about you and your past and things you've been through on your journey, you talk about everybody else's journey and then you put your own spin to it. That's what you have done to a spiritual child. That's why you were not given what you have desired most of all. A spiritual boy. That was not given. And I didn't ask for it. Y'all, when I say I don't ask for none of this shit, I didn't ask for none of it. I just want a simple heart. I tell you, for real. I want to just connect with nature, be with earth, listen to my radio, dance to some music while I hand wash some clothes, and then pin it up right there while the sun sets. That's perfect world for me. Simple, see? All this stuff it's for me to do. Because of my mentality, because of my willpower, but my mentality, because I'm not thinking about me, I. I'm thinking about, okay, how can I use these gifts to help humanity? I know I'm going against the grain. I know people aren't going to agree with what I'm saying. I know people aren't going to, like what I have to say, I know people aren't going to, they're in religious codes, their eyes are closed, so I know they're going to say a lot of different things or this and that. Listen, I don't be bothered with none of that energy. Okay? But if this is what I am supposed to do on my soul mission, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to let somebody who didn't break generational curses tell me how to break them. Because I connect with source and I connect with my ancestors and I connect with them on a great level. That's why you have to do magic, because you knew. So y'all, I've been having magic done on me since I was a kid, because some people in my family knew, because told them my dreams. I told them my creativity. I told them because I thought, why wouldn't you tell them? It was seemed. That's why I stopped talking as a kid. They went to, why are you so quiet? Why don't you say them? Because when I did say them, that was weird. What are you talking about? No, that's demonic. No, this is this and that. So you did have a spiritual child. And what did you do with it? You put their heads in a cult. 2 cults, because we're a Christian going to Catholic school. So we did 2. We double dipped. Right? So with that being said, that's what happened. Me, I have a mind of my own. I think of my own. See, I even wanted to study different religions when I was younger, and I told her, I said, I need to see the similarities and the differences because there's something not right about the separation with all these religions and these differences. It's something, and she's, well, you don't have a close enough relationship with God to be looking at other religions. First off, the fuck, how's somebody gonna tell you your connection with Source, your connection with God? How's somebody gonna tell you what connection you have with somebody else? For one. That's why I'm saying using your power and authority for the wrong reasons. For 2, then you discourage me getting more knowledge about what I could learn about these different religions. I never said, hey, I want to become this. I said, I want to study the different religions and see the different similarities and differences. Because I feel like there's so much to learn from each one. It's just not the Bible that can be the only source of information. And yes, I was young, but and yes, I was only hitting surface level shit. But when it was discouraged, I was just like, well, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't do it. That is fucking why. My son comes to me and wants to talk to me about whatever. I don't care if it's a religion. I don't care what it's about. We can talk about religion. We can talk about cults. We can talk about whatever. We'll talk about it. It's only taboo when you don't talk about it. It's only taboo when you don't talk about it. Do you understand what I'm saying? But this is how you break generational curses. You don't allow people to stop you. You don't do their same behaviors. You don't dig in the same thing that they dig into and expect different results. You don't do the same thing that they did and expect different results. That's why the generation keeps going from generation to generation. You have to change it. You have to do something different. You have to evolve in some type of way, shape, or form in your behavior, your way of being, your way of thinking, your connection to Source. And I'm not saying just jump out of whatever cult you're in. I'm saying connect to Source yourself. Don't just go by. You can't go by what your parents taught you because your parents done fucked up. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. Your parents done fucked up. Your parents have fucked up because they made mistakes. We all make mistakes. We are not robots. We are not computers, and even they'll have viruses and errors and glitches. Okay, and they have malfunctions where you need to come have a man come fix it and all type of stuff going on. Okay? People make mistakes. Not everybody admits to it, so but people make mistakes, right? It's when you don't fix them and you brush them under the rugs and you think it's okay is when the curse continues. Right? So how do you break generational curses? Well, let's go back to your belief system. What do you believe in? Should you believe in what you believe in? Should you believe in what they taught you, knowing their behavior, knowing their mindset, knowing what, is this something that you think that is something that you want to believe in? How does it make your soul and your spirit feel? Are you doing it to please somebody else? Are you doing it because your grandmother did it? Are you doing it because that's what the church said to do? Are you doing it because that's how you believe is your only way to get to heaven? Why are you doing the things you are doing? Because remember, our intentions matter. So you have to figure out why are you doing the things you're doing, and how can you connect to Source more to break these generational curses? Okay? Because they had an opportunity to break them. At this point, we ain't talking about them. They want to be about them so bad. They trolling. They trying to figure out what's going on. They trying to figure out the tea. Because they want to know so bad. They're so invested in your life when you're just invested in your own soul. They invested and trying to figure out what you're doing, because that's what they've been doing. They didn't just start doing that yesterday. They didn't say last night, let me check on what she's doing. Let me check on the status of her ideas. They've been known that you were something special. They've been known that you needed to be stopped in order for them to try to break the generational curses first. They delay you. Wait, so they delay somebody younger than them, somebody who doesn't have the knowledge. They delay them, confuse them, manipulate them, and use magic, and that makes them feel more powerful. That's a weak bitch move. Especially when, yeah. So that's why they walk around with such power. Because they feel like they're getting away with stuff. And because they feel like they're getting away with stuff in the spiritual world. See, they're doing stuff in the spiritual world. Not so much in the 3D. In the 3D, yeah, they're manipulating the matrix. They're doing stuff. But this is more spiritual. This is happening in the spiritual world with magic and stuff. And they're like, I'll just paint this narrative and this picture to everybody like they're crazy. What did they do to Kanye? Right? They said, oh, he's bipolar. He can be this. They started saying that it can be some type of mental illness. So they're going to, these narcissistic family members are going to try to say, you're going through a mental illness. You're going crazy. And this is how you're showing out. People believe this shit. Like, people don't see through this like we see through this. That's why they can't fool us. That's why we don't come around them, because they can't fool us. They only come around people they can fool. Dummy. So that's why I don't fuck with you or them, because I know that not only do you fool them, but they're capable of being fooled. Dummy. So it's not like the black sheep was the black sheep and got shunned. The black sheep said, I don't want to be around these dummies who flock together like dummies, who sit around like dummies, who think I don't know they plots, but they dummies. And the only reason why I would converse with you is because you do magic, or we wouldn't even have no conversation. But now that Divine Feminine has broken all spells and curses I have put among her, the conversation, all communication is blocked from any energy. That's why they have to troll to be somebody else, because they know if they come as themselves, they can't come at all. But now let's talk about the generational curses, because some of those friends and stuff, they knew who you were and they wanted to, because they didn't make it either. Yeah. They haven't accomplished much, have they? Look at their time frame. Look at their journey. Divine Feminine, you're constantly evolving. You're constantly learning. You're constantly growing. And no, it's not easy. No, there's obstacles. You know, there's a lot of stuff you have to get through. No, you didn't have much help. No, it was you by your lonesome. Yes, it was you have to push through. All of that stuff. However, you did it. So you pat yourself on the back since your busted ass, weak ass family won't do it. I clap for my Divine Feminines. Let's clap for you, baby. My Divine Masculines too, because some of you guys are in your masculine energies and your feminine energies when y'all need to be. Because I understand you got your lonesome. So you work with your energies that you have and you transmute it. You work with, I get it. So I want to clap for you. I want to give you a round of applause, Divine Feminine. Because your family tried their hardest to stop you and delay you. And to take what they feel like is shine. But Divine Feminine, you was already shining. You didn't have to take nothing. You were shining. You're part of the sun. Of course you're going to shine. You're a part of the sun. You are meant to shine. It's inevitable. But they wanted pieces of that. They wanted to take from the sun. See, that's why a lot of people, they don't give to the sun. Do you ever go to the sun and say, hey, sun, I take energy from you all the time. People take energy from the sun. The plants, the trees, the sun, everybody takes energy from the sun. Nobody ever wants to give back. Nobody ever wants to give back. Why? Because we're so in a world of taking. Of me, I want. And you have to do this to get this, do this to get this. They have to do something for you, and it has to be tangible for you. And energy, y'all. These people knew who you were. Let's just put it that way. Breaking generational curse is not going to be easy. It was never supposed to be easy, or they would have done it. But they got caught up in the manipulation, in the world game of pool, of chess. and spell work, so they got caught up in it. Some even betrayed you in the meantime because they was caught up in whatever, that manipulation, whatever. Which is fine because divine feminine, you push through and you continue to push through. But the reason why it's not easy, because it's not easy to break chains, baby. Do you know how hard it is to break chains? Have you broke chains before? It ain't like ripping paper. Okay? It's not like throwing something in the trash. It's you breaking a chain. You breaking bondage. Okay? You setting your ancestors free. You setting the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that free, so that way you can make generational wealth. Because as long as you're binded, how the fuck are you going to create that type of wealth? Okay. You don't believe me? How much wealth have you made with your 9 to 5? How much wealth have you made making 9 to 5 for about all the years? Maybe let's say 10 years, 20 years. How much money do you have saved? How much money is in your account? And is it enough to create generational wealth? You spent all this money to go to school, to learn whatever they told you needed to learn, the skills you needed. Even though you said, well, I don't need all this shit. They said you needed it, so you did it, and you paid for the knowledge that they said that you needed. Then you get a job and you work a job, because we don't know if you work the same job you got the degree in, but you worked a job. Let's just say you worked a job, right? Not only do you now have debt, so you're a slave to your student loans, but you're also a slave to the job that you're working at. Okay? So now you have 2 masters. And that doesn't include if you're in a cult or not, but you have 2 masters. So how are you able to create generational wealth? Because your master is never going to let you have enough to run away. You think your master is going to give you enough to run away? You think your master is going to give you enough to set yourself free? Do you really think that? Because when they gave them an acre and a mule and they said, hey, the free slaves can come here, guess what they did? They said, we'll give you land. They gave them land. They said, you can do your crops here, you can do them here, and you have to sell them to the community or something like that. They still became a slave, because for them to live on the land, they had to work and sell and plant and make a certain amount. So they still was a slave. It's just it was a different way to enslave them. So now they find modern ways to enslave people. Instead of just whipping them on their back, and instead of just having them in chains, they found other ways to enslave people. So you have to think to yourself, if that's the case and they're doing it in this modern day age, is that why it's so hard for me to break these generational curses? Because it's not just, you got a lot of different people now who not only who have power, just like back in the day. We're going back to slavery, because back in the day these people had power. These people had way more than we had, and we depended on these people. Let's just keep it real. And that's how they want it to always be. You go to work because you depend on that check. You depend on these things from the government with the assistance they give. You depend on those things, and that's how they want it. They want you to look for them. Look to them, even though they're the ones enslaving you. If that's not some type of Stockholm Syndrome, and I know Stockholm Syndrome very well. So if that's not Stockholm Syndrome, where you're in love with the person who entrapped you and treated you terribly, but you don't want to leave. So that's what I'm saying. Why don't you want to leave slavery? It's a modern day slavery. You can be an entrepreneur. What's stopping you? Like, really, what's stopping you from breaking the chains? Because it could not just be entrepreneurship. It could be other ways that you might be a slave to stuff. You have to look into your life. You have to go within and figure out how can you break different bondages. that your ancestors had. That means people before you had. That means whoever came before you and the things that they were doing, whether they wanted to keep it under wraps, keep it a secret, or keep it or not. Divine Feminine, your high priestess, you know. You do know everything in our business. You don't care. You don't say. You don't speak on it because you don't care. See, people speak on your stuff and they think they know, but you don't speak on people's stuff because you don't care. You know that's their life and whatever journey they're going through is because they have to go through that journey, and you respect it, you understand it, and you keep it pushing. They can't do the same. They can't understand that this is your journey. For you to break these generational curses, they got to put obstacles in front of it. And if you don't think that the ancestors are watching them build obstacles, even though it's making you stronger, Divine Feminine, it's creating more willpower so you can break that chain for all. Because you might break it in that chain. When you break a chain, what happens to that damn chain? You break a chain. The chain falls on the floor. The chain falls on the floor. The other chain, right, keeps going. Somebody usually dragging the train. It's probably your angels, right? Dragging the train. Why I keep saying train, y'all? But you breaking it, because I'm telling y'all, when I say they're talking about the train and Harriet Tubman, when I say I channel her like it ain't nobody's business, but all the time. But so when they break it, it falls to the floor, right? It almost looks defeated. But you break it and you keep going. You see what I'm saying? So those same chains, you don't look back and you don't go back because they link together. They're still linked by bondage. See, you broke off that chain and you created a new link. That link of generational wealth. The links that they had tied together, the birds that flock together, the birds that do magic together, the birds that gang stock together, the birds that do their thing together, they still link together. So if you deal with one, you're dealing with all of them, whether you want to admit it or not, you are. So what you need to do is let go of all links. So when it breaks, you need to break, let go, let it free. Set it free because you just set yourself free. So if you... Okay, so if we just left slavery, okay, we're on our way to slavery. We think that this is our way out. We think that after this, we're going to go to another state and we're going to be finally free. We don't see, but we just walking by faith, not by sight. We think that this is, we're getting out the stimulation, right? Y'all, as we getting off this simulation, going to try to leave out of what was slavery back then, right? I want you guys to imagine this. Now, we already know we got those people who wanted to go back. Now, who do you think they was going back for? Yes, the food was probably, well, they ate bottom of the barrel. And I know they was hungry from traveling through, but listen, y'all know that we can fast for days. We don't really have to eat food. We just eat food because we can, but we don't really have to eat if we don't want to. We can drink water, but we don't have to eat if we don't want to. And we would still have life within us because guess what? We are part of life, we're part of the earth, so we are going to sustain, we are going to make it through. Yeah. So it wasn't for the food. Because somebody they left behind or somebody they wanted to go back and get. Or somebody, but if that person's linked to another person, that person's linked, how the fuck you gonna make it through all them links to get to that person while all the rest of the links unchained and you know what the fuck's going on? And then y'all back in bondage. Do you get what I'm saying? Because somebody wanted to go back to a link to go try to save another link. And that link was tied to other links. So you went back for that link and then got linked up. Back in slavery and bondage. Oh, no, we don't do that. So when I say you might have to let a couple people go because you're going to be breaking curses and they're not going to be happy with it. So no matter what in their life, As long as they breathing, shitting, and sleeping, they gonna be thinking about you and what they failed to do and all the false narratives they painted and how their life could have been a certain way and how the divine feminine life is going. They're going to be thinking about it day and night. Because it's going to haunt them. They can't help it. They can't help it now. They can't. Even if they wanted to, they can't help it. Because they're obsessed with how divine feminine was able to do it, go through obstacles in life, go through being put down, go through all these difficult things, plus magic being put on her by many people, plus they wish failed relationships on you, they wish that you would meet terrible people, they wish that you would have no confidence, self-doubt, they wish that you wouldn't learn, she wouldn't amount to shit, they wish so bad, they wish that, you know, wherever you live would chew you up and spit you out, they wish so many things up upon you. They wish you wouldn't have wish fulfillment. They would wish you would, need to depend on them all the time. They wish so many different things throughout your life that they don't understand how you made it because they paid people to wish it too. They got grouped up with other people so they all can talk about and wish the same thing upon this one person. And this one person was still able to make it through all the obstacles and the trials that was put before them and put purposely in front of their path. They still made it through, and those people just did the work of the enemy. They just did the work of the dark force. They probably, some of them know, some of them don't even realize what they've done. They don't. They're still under this false light, under this false glory, under this false idea that they're the ones who should have been the one who is the one of the everyone, and no, everyone should want the one type of weird ass feeling. When divine feminine is like, no, this is a responsibility. This takes a lot of patience, a lot of inner healing, a lot of peace, a lot of meditation, a lot of fasting, a lot of connecting with source. And I already got stuff I got to do during the day, and I'm going through the matrix, and I'm going in and out. So it's like, hello, I really didn't sign up for this, but we did. We all did. Way back when. Okay. But this time, of in the now, it's time to break those bondages that have once kept you in a certain state of mind that did nothing for you. And yes, those beliefs, those traditions, those old people, those old past people in your life had something to do with it. They intentionally set those intentions for you. However, they cannot set intentions for your destiny because you choose your destiny and you're choosing your soul mission. You will not let that be your fate. You will not let them dictate your fate. And that's what they want to do because they feel like they lost their opportunity, so they want to control somebody else's opportunity. They want to control somebody's opportunity when this is this person's soul mission. So, and they don't care at what cost. You see, they did different type of magic. This is your own family. Multiple people on both sides. This ain't just, girl, honey, child. That's why they mad. That's why they mad. That's why they mad. That's why they mad. Nigga, when I said it, that's why they mad. They mad because they see you. They can pretend they don't see you. They can pretend, but they see you. And they knew you was something back then. But back then, they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me. So they going to act like, oh, no, that wasn't how it really was. They're going to think because time heals everything, they're going to feel like that. But Divine Feminine was High Priestess. She already knew what was up. She just never approached you because it was not worth her time. You were not worth her time. You were not worth keeping in her life and her relationship. So she didn't even address the situation because that's how low she thought of you. Not you, Divine Feminine, but the karmics in her life. And the people she did give opportunities to, and she gave more than one opportunity to, she did that off of pity and empathy. See, they thought they were top shit, the reason why Divine Feminine came back around. They thought the reason why Divine Feminine came back around is because they did something glorious, or they feel like because they deserve the glory, or they were somebody with moving in their ego like they always do. Their ego and their pride takes over. But divine feminine gave them empathy and pity them. So she came back around. See, people can always create whatever narrative, but source no. Your creator knows. The ancestor knows. That's why they try to delay you. That's why your family tries to delay you, because they know what's supposed to happen in your life. They know how important you are. They know. And they just can't. Why couldn't it be me? Y'all will never forget my mother doing that. Never. And tears really flowing down this lady's face. And she had to go in the bathroom. Talking about why couldn't it have been her? Hunty, didn't you have your children? You had your life. Bitch, what the? People have their own life and still want somebody else's. Why wouldn't it be you? Why can't you be satisfied with the life you have and the abortions you have? Why can't you be satisfied with that? Because guess what? When you do that, see, people don't realize when they decide to have abortions and stuff, you never know who that baby is. You never know. That baby could have been somebody extremely special, an extremely great person. But you took that from yourself. You didn't take that from the child, because that's going to be born regardless, just not to you. Do you get what I'm saying? But don't put your flaws on somebody else, because somebody else didn't make the same bad decisions that you did. Because if they would have made the same decisions you did, they would have been like you, and you would have been, that person would have been happy about that. But because not only was I able to do it with grace and with ease, but I was able to continue to do things when everybody was like, it's going to be hard for you. You won't be able to do it. You won't be speaking negative. Why are you speaking like that, bitch, when I helped raise most of the kids that's been around? Let's not get it twisted. So I don't know why they going to say it's going to be hard for me. Because then I raised your kid, help with your kid. When I was a kid. I was a kid because I had intuition, and kids, animals, and plants and stuff love me. That's why I stopped picking flowers, because as a kid, I realized, oh no, when I picked the flower, it's not a flower. Well, how I interpret it wasn't a flower anymore because it wasn't standing up. But I knew what that meant. I was a very special kind of kid. But anyways, carry on. But people like to paint their own narrative so that way they get the shine. Because if you're talking negative about somebody else, then they get all the glory and the shine. Like, well, you've tried everything you possibly could to make everything great for this person's life. And they just, for some reason, I don't know what it could be. How could... The sense of control is why generational curse was not broken, because people wanted too much control, power, and authority over somebody else's life instead of creating generational wealth so each individual person can contribute to humanity in a way that they need to. Because we're all supposed to contribute to humanity in each unique way. However, most people are stuck in their lower self, stuck in their lower vibration where they don't feel the need to do things for others. That's the problem we're having. That's why generational curses are hard to break, because it's hard to stop believing everything you were ever taught in your life and change it up and to be a person that they can even... That's why they mad. That's why they mad. And they continue to do magic. They actually think it's funny. They think they're being sneaky and getting away with it. Nobody could know, because what they're going to do, call the spiritual police. Yeah. Source is my spiritual police. My ancestors police me, ho. All of my ancestors do. So with that being said, they are my police. They are my army. They are my military. Why do you think I have the willpower and the endurance that I do? They said it. Well, you have the willpower of an ox. You have a willpower of a lion. You have a willpower of a... So you continue to mess with me in the spiritual world, knowing that I have the willpower And knowing against you're going against your own ancestors, knowing you're going against the universe, you continue to attack chosen people who are here to help humanity. Are you dumb? Are you stupid or dumb? Are stupid or dumb? Are stupid or dumb? And you know, Christ, who was the greatest ascended master, he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I am not Christ. He made us, listen, Source made us all unique. I am me. I say, they know what they were doing. They know what they had intent. They had an idea. They set intentions. They manifested. They did it. They checked to see if it was working. When it wasn't working, they did it again. And then they paid other people to do it. Then they kept doing it. Then they did it in their house. Then they did it in their kitchen. Then they got other people to do it. Then they gained stock. Then they paid more practitioners. Then went overseas and paid more. So it's down the line continuously. And we're not even talking about when I was a kid. We're talking about just now. Just within within my adult years. It's continuous. And the things about narcissistic is they put on a mask. So of course they're not going to say, I'm narcissistic. No, they're going to come like, I could never do that. Who, me? No. They're putting on a face. And then when they turn around, they're smirking. Because while they were trying to convince you they are who they were, they made sure they threw somebody else under the bus with lies and deceit and manipulation. Then they went home and did a spell on you to make sure you didn't tell none of their business. Oh yeah, this person's clever. Clever individuals. So your family is very clever. They probably didn't tell you that they practice witchery, candle magic, black magic. They probably didn't tell you about it, but they do. It's a secret that many of them know. They just didn't tell you because they knew you'd be more powerful than all of them. They didn't tell you because you'd be more powerful than all of them, and they didn't want you to see your power, so instead they made you feel powerless. So you didn't see your power. They didn't want you to feel powerful because you would have been powerful, even though you wouldn't use that power for no bad. But they needed to use their power for bad. So they knew once you knew your power, you'd be able to overpower them. So they had to keep you powerless so they can continue to have power. This is how the Matrix does, and this is how your family does. And this is why there's no general curses being broken. Because your family treats you just like the Matrix do, where they're trying to stop you and delay you from your soul journey and your soul purpose, because they want to be the ones, to be the only ones to have that power and that authority and that selfishness. Remember, we said power, greed, and selfishness is what's going on in the world. What's keeping everything from success, what's keeping everything the way it is now. Now, I don't plan on talking about this. We already an hour in. I'm going to have to rewatch my videos, you guys, because, again, I'll be going back and forth. And then I channel on top of that. Okay, so sometimes I don't be... yes, I'll rewatch what I say because there's important stuff that I need to really be able to reflect, but I'm using my vessels to give you guys information. So I'm not like, it's not like I'm documenting this in my mind. I'm giving you guys the information so you guys can know what's going on. I normally write things down, but I'm giving you guys this information as I receive this information. Okay, I'm going to pull cards maybe in my next reading because this is going to be a long video, but I just want to say breaking chains, you guys can do it. But again, it's going to take utensils, it's going to take willpower, it's going to take force, and you're almost there. You still at that point in that middle where that core at. You getting through it though. So don't give up now, because I'm telling you, most people couldn't even make you down to the wire. Most people couldn't even make it down there. They couldn't even, they tried to karate chop it. They felt like I'm powerful. They tried to spank it with a belt. They tried to break it with their own hands thinking they the Hulk. And they wasn't able to accomplish it. And their pride wouldn't let them try another tactic. But Divine Feminine, you tried every tactic, you didn't care. You went through this thing, you found a way to get over it. You went through another thing, you found a way to get over that. You went through another thing, you found a way to get over that. You had to try different things to get over different stuff because you weren't just going by one simple, narrow way of thinking. And that's the difference between you and the people who want to stay tied to a link and stay in bondage. You inspire them, however, they still want to stay in bondage. And they want to keep you back as they're in bondage. Because they couldn't accomplish their goals at the age that you are, at the time that you're able to accomplish your goals. They feel like it should have been them. It should have I will never forget that. I never forget that. Because that's not the first time where your own mother, your own sisters want something that was granted to you by the universe. They feel like it should have been now. Instead of saying, how can I assist you and help you, because it was you. It was you this whole time.